Good evening and welcome to Red Army TV. It's 3 years since we lost our big borough mate, Ali Brownlee, so we're just going to open the show with a couple of nice memories, and we're going to share some as I said, some memories of Ali Brownlee and his time commentating on the Middlesbrough games. Joined today by Marc and Borough season ticket holder Andrew Hartshorn as well. Andrew, we'll start with you. What were your memories of Alistair Brownlee? Anything in particular jumping out at you? Or?
I think the same as a lot of people. Is the voice of the borough. So my first sort of impression of listening to the games, especially on the radio, as a kid in the car, it was Ali's voice that you'd hear. So I think, for me, it's the connection between the man himself and the club as a whole, rather than a specific moment.
Definitely, he was much more than just a commentator, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had the opportunity to meet him through family and friends, and he was just a really nice, genuine bloke as well as you say. The voice of the borough in my eyes, anyway. So.
Yeah. Excellent. I think there's a lot of fans that'll have that fond memories of you know, especially people sort of our sort of age. I know I'm a couple of years older than you, but Marc's a bit older than me. I hope you don't mind me saying. But my early formative years as a Borough fan were listening to Ali, going to the games, listening to Ali on the way home. You know, listening to Ali on the way to the matches, away matches, listening to him as well. Marc, what were your memories of the big man?
I think you both hit the nail on the head. The good thing with Ali in any type of broadcasting is, you know, whether a lot of people don't know, he wasn't a trained journalist, but he had the knack to be everybody's friend. Yeah. You know, so whether he was on the TV, when he done Borough TV with Dave, or whether he was on Century, BBC Tees, you felt like he was your mate. So when he was commentating on that match, he was your mate talking about the Borough. And that's the everlasting memory. And, you know, like yourselves, I had the great fortune of meeting him, and he was as fantastic off the radio than on, you know. Yeah. So for me, it's still I couldn't believe it. Like this morning when I realised, you know, it was 3 years. It seems to have gone in an instant. Yeah. But yeah, never forgotten, certainly at this club, by every Borough fan.
There was I don't know whether the rumours ever kind of got legs or anything, but there was rumours of naming a stand after him at the ground. I mean, obviously they named the media suite after him in the end, but it just shows the measure of the man that I don't think there's anybody else that I can think of who you know, passed away, and there was that much of a furore from the fans to do something. We've got to do something for him. We've got to do something for him. I mean, you said yourself earlier on, Marc, you were watching again the goals from Stoya. Just talk us through what were you feeling?
I mean, I don't
Ali?
think there's any. I don't just think Borough fans here. I think anybody who likes football, and I defy anybody to watch the Bucharest goals at home with the Ali Brownlee commentary, which was obviously on the radio, but it's been mashed together on the internet. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you know, and they do. And you are right, you know, it's normally ex-footballers and servants to the club what get stands, and they get murals painted of them, and they get media suites. But the fans made their point where, you know, when he sadly passed away, they made it known that they wanted something done. I mean, we've got the words imprinted on the flyover, haven't we? Which is fantastic.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah, it's a fantastic.
And obviously the media suite is fitting. Nice. And like I said, I can't believe it's 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he on the day he did pass away. There was a couple of rumours going around social media that he died before anything was announced. And my first reaction was to text me dad. And I don't know, I've never, you know, when Michael Jackson passed away and all that type of stuff, never really felt that gutted, you know. But no, we just wanted to take the opportunity just to you know, pass on our respects again and just, you know, share a couple of memories of the man. Moving on to more current events, we've got a couple of games to talk about. First half of the show, we're going to be talking about the Leeds game. Second half, we're going to be talking about the Sheff United game. So a couple of Yorkshire games. I'm not going to call them derbies, but a couple of Yorkshire games to talk about. Andrew, any particular thoughts on the Leeds game? I know it felt a bit different going into the match. Do you not think?
Yeah, it did. I think we had a lot of the players and fans. We had a bit of a better outlook because we'd had obviously poor results beforehand. So it was sort of something that needed to be proven. A point needed to be proven, I think. And it was. I'm not going to say it was necessarily completely positive, but it was definitely a step forward. I felt. Obviously, looking at the more recent game, that might have changed a little, but I won't get too far into that. But
we'll come on to the Sheff United game.
But yeah, I think at the time it definitely felt like a step forward, even though we did concede a very late goal, which obviously put a bit of a downer on things. But I think overall it was definitely a step forward. I felt anyway personally watching the game, so I was pretty pleased with the overall performance of the team.
I think there was a lot of people. I mean, you sit near me at the ground, obviously, Mark. You sit, the other side of the stadium. You're there week in, week out, as we all are. It felt a bit nervous and a bit tense for a few minutes from the fans' point of view. Mark, would you agree with that? Because it felt a bit like the Leeds fans were there. They were singing. We were kind of waiting for something to sing about before we got up for it. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going after the Newport game, the FA Cup game, which I know was covered last week. For me, there needed to be a good display, and I felt when I went into the stadium, and obviously I sit with my small son, so I sit in the sort of the family enclosure side, and there was, I don't know whether it was because it was a full house or whether because there was that many, Leeds had brought that many, but there was more optimism in the stadium for a start than a normal home game that I've noticed on that game. So the outlook going into the game, I think every Borough fan expected more than obviously what we've seen at Newport. And we did get that to a certain extent. I have got one negative, which will come on to the football in a little bit. But overall, the full match day experience for me as a home game was probably the best of the season.
Yeah.
You know, the atmosphere in the crowd, the way the crowd got behind the players. And obviously the Leeds fans played their part as well. You know,
they did. I begrudgingly give them that. They brought a lot of fans and they were noisy, and it certainly added to the occasion, didn't it? Yeah. So, but no, I mean, as you were going to say about the on pitch, how do you think the game went? I mean, the football itself.
Yeah, on the pitch, obviously, I thought, Mikel, it took around about 15-20 minutes for him to get into that game. To be fair, but I mean, he is a cut above the rest in my eyes, and I've said it on many times. I think he is a class act. But I thought Saville was probably his best game in about a shirt. I thought he was fantastic as well. If I was going to be overcritical and a little bit negative, I would probably say, and we're probably going to come on to it the extra time. But but I think probably for the last 20 minutes, which included that little bit of 11 minutes of extra time, we seem to sit back a little bit. Yeah. You cannot invite teams of like Leeds calibre to come and batter you for 20 minutes and not expect them to score a goal. Yeah. That was, if I had my own, if I had to put a negative spin on it, that was probably the only one. Other than that, I thought, bear in mind other home games and certainly the Newport game, I thought the commitment from the players was fantastic. I thought the fans played the part. I just thought, like I say, other than the late goal, it sort of felt like a loss, didn't it?
Yeah. It did at the end, yeah. I mean, you've touched on one of the big talking points of the game there. Andrew, have you ever seen 12 minutes at a time? It was a bit of a strange incident, and obviously, we all hope and we're happy to hear that Jack Clark's fine. Do you think that had any sort of bearing on the last run-in? Do you think it might have affected us mentally?
I definitely think it does, especially so late in a game. It definitely changes sort of the player's mindset. When you've got that long, you sort of lose momentum, if that makes sense. Yeah. I definitely think it had an impact, whether it was the defining moment of whether they would have won the game or not. I wouldn't like to say, but it definitely changed the way the game was running. Leeds did start to get back into the game beforehand, I think, but not quite to the extent that they did after the match resumed. So, yeah, like you say, such a large period of time. I've not seen it personally, first, like, in a game.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely an interesting point that you could look at.
I mean, it's one of those. It's unusual, but I mean, we mentioned on the show on Monday, didn't we, Mark, that if that's how long it took to get him better, that's how long it took to get him better.
Yeah. I mean,
everything else stops.
I mean, football doesn't take precedent over somebody not very well.
Exactly. Yeah.
My only concern, and I just said it just before that, is I thought before we went into that extra time and before the Jack Clark incident, we'd already started being a little bit sat back.
Yeah.
And for me, we were inviting the pressure on. And if you're going to invite, you can't invite a top 6 or 7 team, even at home, to come and have a go at you.
Yeah.
We've normally been doing that anyway, but that would be my only negative.
I mean, the one thing that I was a bit concerned with, other than, as you said, Mark, maybe sitting back a little bit. We're going to touch on this again when we come back after the break and talk about the Sheffield United game. Do you think we're susceptible to letting goals in from set pieces? Because there's 2 games now where we've conceded goals from a corner and a free kick.
It seems so, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you say, it's happening in a couple of games. It's something that definitely needs to be improved upon.
Yeah. Well, again, as I said, we'll talk about that when we come back after the break and talk about the Sheffield United game. But we're going to take a quick break. Thanks. Welcome back to Red Army TV. Before the break, we were just quickly chatting about the Leeds United match. Brings us nicely into the Sheffield United match. We had a spell towards the end of the Leeds game where we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit, and by all accounts, it was very, very similar away at Bramall Lane. Did either of you go to the game? Did you watch the game? Did you kind of catch the highlights? Or
I caught a bit of the highlights, but I think, like you say, the second half was poor in my eyes. But as he was on about we showed like a certain confidence in the Leeds game from the start. I felt that wasn't really there in the Sheffield game. I felt that the players weren't really as comfortable from the start. And
do you think that's because it wasn't a home rammed full Riverside Stadium?
Yeah, possibly. And I think maybe the pressure had got to some of the players as well, especially with the conceding a late goal against Leeds. But again, it's all speculation, but it was definitely there wasn't the same sort of positivity from the team I felt as there was in the Leeds game towards the beginning. So
well, it's felt like the last couple of times we've played Leeds. I know we're talking about Sheffield United, but it kind of ties in. The last few times we've played Leeds, it's always been like one of the best games of the season. We've played with a bit of intensity and a bit of passion. Having conceded in the 101st minute of play, it certainly, I mean, we said just before the break, it felt a bit like a defeat. Do you think the players were coming off the back of a similar sort of feeling, Mark?
Do you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here.
Go on, go for it. I love it when you do.
My big point is that the majority of the media and press from the Leeds United game at home was positive. So any player watching that, Tony Pulis as a gaffer, the board members, anybody, were all looking at that thinking, we've got 30,000 crowd, we've packed the house out, and by the way, we've done ourselves credit here. Bear in mind what we've done at Newport.
Can't argue
on
with
the
that.
midweek.
I thought the game itself and the performance justifies that.
Granted the last 20 minutes. Then we go into the Sheffield United game. There's something fundamentally wrong, and I don't want to say it with the team. I've said it 1,000 times on this show. We have got a good enough squad to be where we are at the minute. Do I think we're punching above our weight? Sometimes, yes. But we have got a good enough set of players to be where we are. January was the pivotal bit which we didn't add the spice to maybe kick us on.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It wasn't backed or there's no funding or skin or whatever came out of that. We never got it. My big gripe with that is Sheffield United, there's something fundamentally wrong that we can get ourselves up for the Leeds game at home after being woeful against Newport on the the midweek before it.
Cup game, yeah.
We then go into the Sheffield United game midweek, and although the first half we sort of stopped them playing, second half was inept for me, in me.
Yeah.
So there's something fundamentally wrong with either the ethos of the club, what's going on, the team, how it's drilled, how it's coached, how it's trained. I don't know. And I'm not privy to that information, as we're not.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. In my limited coaching experience, there's something wrong where the team can be high in one game, because it's not as if we can say, well, we have a run of 3 or 4 games and then we drop off. We don't even do that. We have one game, then we're high in good one game, then we drop down to Sheffield. Now, if I was a betting man, I'd say the next game at the weekend on Sunday, I'd put us down for a win if I was a betting man, because we're up and down, there's something wrong. Teams like that don't get promoted.
It's inconsistency, isn't it, Andrew? I mean, we look at the last few games. We've had Newport, didn't play particularly well. No. West Brom, fantastic. Leeds, pretty well. Not fantastic, but pretty well for most of the game. Yeah. Sheffield United, by all accounts, was just a lacklustre, awful game. Yeah,
like you say, it's lacklustre. I didn't feel like there was any sort of drive from a lot of the players. On my eyes, Mikel is a bit standout. I think a lot of people have noticed that he is, you could say, a class above. I don't want to disregard the other players that we've got, but
you don't want to over-egg the pudding with him, do you? I described him as an all-time great or something along those lines online. I got slated for it.
He is very good from what I've seen, and Darren Randolph is, I know he's not someone that doesn't get so much publicity, but he's the only man on that pitch that I've seen that is consistently good.
I mean, Mikel's been with our club less than 4 weeks. He looked absolutely dejected at the end of that Sheffield United game.
There was a few people questioning his reasons for coming to Middlesbrough, and I stand by what I said. I think he wants to come to play. Like you said, he's invested in the team. Personally, he wants to play well. He's done a couple of interviews where he's impressed with the area. He's impressed with the setup that we've got. He's impressed with the players that we've got and their attitude. He's probably took a pay cut to come here. I think he wants to come here and play.
I mean, like you have said, fellas, and he is a class act, and if that's doing anybody in our centre midfield a disservice, well, I'm sorry. It is, because he is our best midfielder at the minute. He is by far a quality player. Very rarely, miscues a pass, pushes his own players out of his way to say, get out, you're in my zone, get out of my... He's really good man manager and organiser. I just thought with Sheffield United, I thought the goal was tame to give away. I thought, I think we spoke on Monday night when Phil was giving Dale Fry it. Unfortunately, I've got to agree with Phil from Monday now. I was backing Dale. Dale was probably a little bit weak with a goal. I thought he could have stood up and done a little bit better.
He just got kind of steamrolled by Steve.
All he had to do was stand up in my eyes, mate. Just stop still. You've stopped him. If he comes into you, it's then a foul. I thought he could have done that a little bit better.
It's a bit of an experience thing in that.
He's
still a young player,
But I thought Ayala as well. Ayala could have been sent off twice before that. Some challenges he made were rash.
He really is. I mean, I for some reason or another, I quite like a dangerous centre back, and I've said it on the show a few times. I like an Andre Bikey or a Sean St Ledger. Those kind of players where you're not quite sure who's going to turn them on the day. It excites me a little bit. But Ayala, I mean, you must have seen the goal. You must have seen the second yellow. Why did he slide into him instead of just trying to block the cross? What's going through his mind there?
I mean, someone that's already on a yellow card should not be taking risks like that. It's basic defending. Like he knows, he's done it before as well. It's not.
He's a physical player, isn't he? He's a grabby player.
He knows he takes risks a lot of the time. But when you're already on a yellow, you can't be taking risks like that, especially so close to your own box as well. So
it's his judgment as a centre half. For a centre half to come across like that, already on a yellow, all he had to do was see him to the byline, and he didn't. Theoretically, if he'd have been half a yard closer in, it'd have been a penalty.
Exactly. We're just going to run some fan rants to you, some of the reaction that we had from the Red Army coaches on the way back home from Sheffield United. So this is what some of the fans had to say.
The game turned on us not taking our chances. We had 2 really good chances where our players were in front of goal and should have put the ball in the net.
Absolutely shocking. We didn't create enough, but Ayala's let us down in the end. Rash all the time with his tackles.
We said straight away before we even got there we'd have took a point, but once they scored, that was it. Was game over. Game over. End of. Simple as that. There's got to be more, hasn't there? There's got to be more.
They're not fit to wear the shirt. What I saw today, it's embarrassing.
So that was your fans' reaction. Let us know what you think. I'm sure us guys in the studio agree wholeheartedly with a lot of the comments that were coming in there. None of them complimentary. Sheffield's not a massive trek. It's only an hour and a half away, but it's not a great place to be going midweek and coming back with an awful defeat. Andrew, you touched on somebody there who I think you're right, doesn't get the praise that I think he deserves, and that's Darren Randolph. I mean, I've got in a couple of my notes here from the last couple of games that he's made some fantastic saves. Do you think he should be commanding the defence a bit more from set pieces, though? Is he part of? I don't want to say part of the problem, but is he part of the solution?
Possibly, like you see a lot of keepers do. They tell the defenders where they want them, but I think on the set pieces, it's something as a team as a whole needs to be improved.
Definitely, yeah.
It's something. It's a training ground thing that needs to be done. Whether that includes Randolph telling people where he wants the defenders, but it's not his. I'm not going to say it's his fault.
No,
as you understand.
Yeah, none of us would. You know,
no.
he's done more, far more positives than negatives.
Yeah, but yeah, it could be something that could be improved by being more vocal and communicating with the players more. But I think it is something that definitely needs to be improved upon on the training ground, because we're conceding far too many goals.
Yeah.
From set pieces, like you say.
It seems to be from set pieces last couple of games anyway. Mark, where do you see us at the back on Sunday at Blackburn? Because we're going to have no Flint, we're going to have no Yarla.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going to happen?
Well, one thing, it's an opportunity for the young lads, isn't it? Well, I mean, we've got some good young lads coming through. I just think that. I mean, Dale Fry's going to sit in there, obviously, and remember, we play with 4 centre halves across the middle. You know, I
was going to say, is it a chance to
Shotton
give 4-4-2?
And George Friend are not wing backs. Yeah. You know, the centre halves. Let's not beat around the bush.
Is it a chance to give 4-4-2 a go, or is that just wishful thinking on my part?
4-4-2. You know what my thinking of 4-4-2 is.
Yeah. You love it.
I love it. Certainly in the Championship, I just don't think Tony trusts maybe the forwards at 4-4-2.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a prediction for Sunday's game? What do you reckon?
Like you say, I think with the up and down, I think we could have a positive result, especially with the players getting such a backlash from the last game.
I'm always the optimist. I'm going to go but a 2-0.
I'm going to go 1-0. Scotty.
1-0. Hopefully it's a win. Thanks for joining us tonight on Red Army TV. We will probably see you next week, hopefully when we've got a few more points in the bag.